Began raising it on its long journey to his mouth, some 50 feet up in the air. Sophie wanted to scream "Don't," but that would have been an even more certain death. Crouching among the slimy seats, she felt herself being lifted up and up and up. Suddenly, there was a crash as the blood bottler beat a huge hunk of the end. Sophie saw his yellow teeth clamping together a few inches from her head. Then there was utter darkness. She was she was in his mouth. She caught a whiff, waited for the teeth to go crunch once more. She prayed that she would be killed quickly. Each, roared the blood bottler. Up, up, Welch, leech. And then he spat. All of the great lumps of snozzcumber that were in his mouth, as well as Sophie herself, went shooting out across the cave. If Sophie had struck the stony wall of the cave, she would most certainly have been killed. Instead, she hit she hit the wall. She dropped to the ground, half stunned. She crawled under the hem of the clock, and there she crouched. "You little swinbuckler," roared the blood bottler. "You little pig swiller." He rushed at the BFG and smashed what was left of the snozzcumber over his head. Fragments of the filthy vegetable splashed all over the cave. "You is not loving it?" the BFG asked, innocently, rubbing his head. "Loving it?" yelled the blood bottler. "That is the most disgustingest taste that has ever touched my teeth. You must be buggles to be swallowing sludge like that. Every night you could be galloping off, happy as a hamburger, and gobbling juicy human beings." "Eating human beings is wrong and evil," the BFG said. "Bottler, and tonight I is galloping off to child to swabble a few human child beans. Is you wishing to know why I is choosing child?" "I is not wishing to know anything," the BFG said, very dignified. "I is choosing Charlie," the blood bottler said, "because I is fed up with the taste of Esquimos. It is important I has plenty of cold eats in this scuttling hot weather, and the next coldest thing to an Esquimos is a child bean. Human beings from Chile is very chilly, horrible," the BFG said. "You ought to be ashamed. Other giants is all saying they is wanting to gallop off to England tonight to guzzle skull chillers. The blood bottler said. "I is very fond indeed of English school childers. They has a nice inky booky flavor. Perhaps I will change my mind and go to England with them." "You is disgusting," the BFG said, "and you is an insult to the giant peoples," shouted the blood bottler. You is not fit to be giant. You is a squinky little squiddler. You is a pebbling little pipsqueak. You is a cream puffnut. With that, the horrible blood-bottling giant strode out of the cave. WFG ran to the cave entrance and quickly rolled the stone back into place. "Sophie," he whispered. "Sophie, where is you, Sophie?" Sophie emerged from under the hem of the black cloak. "I'm here," she said. WFG picked her up and held her tenderly in the palm of his hand. "Oh, I'm so happy to be finding you all in one lump," he said. "Eyes in his mouth," Sophie said. "You was what?" cried WFG. Sophie told him what had happened, and there I was telling him to eat the field some snot-cumber, and you was all the time inside it, the BFG cried. "Not much fun," Sophie said. "Just look at you poor little chiller," cried the BFG. "You is all covered in snot-cumber and giant spit," he said about cleaning her up as best he could. "I is hating those other giants more than ever now," he said. "You know what I should like?" "What?" Sophie said. "I should like to find a way of disappearing them every single one." "I'd be glad to help you," Sophie said. "Let me see if I can't think up a way of doing it."